Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We have a little problem here, or they have a little problem, and that is Donald Tusk is an idiot. Well, that could be a good thing for us or a bad thing, depending on how things evolve or devolve. The same thing for the Poles. Sorry for you guys, you got this imbecile who is actually on the payroll of the big interest. I think he's just a little servant who wants to serve. He's not in the club. He wanna be in a club. So therefore, he's gonna do whatever you ask him to do. Unzip your pants, he'll do it. So what's going on here? We have this Polish prime minister, and hear me. He comes out and says that Europe will be subject to a direct Russian attack in the next few years. Well, I was all ears to find out Donald Tusk's arguments, solid arguments, because he made this statement right there as in an affirmative. It's not like might, could, maybe, possibly. No, it's right there. Europe will be subject to a direct Russian attack in the next few years. He must have the information and the knowledge. Let's hear all these things, because he's going to come with a list. Remember, when you make this kind of statement, obviously in our civilization, and Poland is part of our civilization, you bring supporting evidence. The more the evidence, the stronger the case. One evidence, that's not a pattern. You know what I mean? You have to have a pattern of arguments, supporting arguments that are somehow connected, make sense. Put them all together, you say, yeah, most likely, possible. No, Tusk tells us for sure will be subject. And attack in the next few years. He doesn't tell us in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, next few years. Why? Because he will be dying and the Russians will not doing it and say, well, I said in the next few years. Now, few years, you can talk about few years. If you take into consideration the age of the planet, you know, I think it's what, 4.5 billion years or something. Well, a few years could be, I don't know, like 1 billion years. Okay, he's a weasel, so he's going to find out. So let's see his arguments. I was all ears, as I said. There should be no doubt. Let's read this. There should be no doubt that from a strategic perspective, Europe is a target of Russian aggression, he added. And I'm quoting, this will happen when Russia's military advantage becomes evident, he said. Will it always, I mean, is it possible? So there should be no doubt. Someone said, I can't remember who said that one characteristic of people with not too much in the head is their certainty. When you hear people talk in certain words like, we'll do this, it is like that, yes, you did it, yes, you know, certainty is very dangerous because things change based on the information, extra information. It doesn't mean that you should not make a statement, but you have to say, well, the statement is maybe, possibly, most likely. Or anyway, let's go, unless you really know what you're talking about. And Donald Tusk knows what he's talking about. And let me now give you the argument. So the Polish Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Radosław Sikorski have prepared an appeal to NATO. This comes in response to an incident on December 29 when during Russia's attack on Ukraine, the incident, a Russian missile flew into Polish territory. Did they already establish that? And a Russian missile, okay, they said that, the Russian says bring the evidence. I didn't hear anything else on that one. So the Poles, I covered that, are not certain that's Russian. Let's say it is Russian. Then it is Russian. It went in and went out. Is it a violation of the airspace? Yes, it is. Did the Ukrainians violate the Polish airspace? Yes, they did. Did they convene NATO? they spoke about Ukraine, not the Russian, because they blamed the Russian too over there. It was because of the Russians. These guys defended themselves, and those guys killed 2 Poles. The Russians did not kill anything, but it's still a violation. They didn't determine that it seems like they determined already it's a Russian. Let's say it was a Russian missile. Okay, let's say, I mean, it entered the territory of the airspace, violated. Okay, all right. So let's move on. And I'm quoting: "We will seek to mobilize and utilize all available diplomatic means and persuasion to make the entire European Union understand that without radical strengthened military efforts, we will lag far behind." That means arming. He's a, we know who's behind him now. Tusk said everybody's behind because he takes it. Now, and I'm quoting, "Therefore," so that's what he said. This is the conclusion based on that. "Therefore, one thing is certain: Europe will be subject to a direct Russian attack in the next few years." So he claims his solid argument, certain argument, because he says therefore. What he said, that means we have to make the entire Europe understand that without strengthened military efforts, we will lag behind. And once we lag behind, Russia will attack European Union. This is his argument. Well, so that means if Russia becomes stronger and we are weaker, they will definitely attack us. Correct? Correct. If we lag behind. But let's put the shoe in the other foot and see if it fits. What were the Russians talking about NATO expanding closer to them? Didn't they say the same thing? So that means NATO really wanted to attack them? And if not, why not? So the Russians said NATO becomes stronger and comes closer to us, therefore threatening us. Therefore, it was an imminent, as he said, one thing is certain: the NATO will attack Russia. It doesn't work that way. So remember another thing: when you make a statement of that kind of importance, gravity, you bring evidence not like that. These are just, if they get stronger, they will attack me. That means if my enemy is stronger and beats the other one and gets stronger than me, will necessarily attack me. You ignore all the reasons that they say there were none. Why Russia invaded Ukraine. If you ignore all the reasons and you say just because these guys will become stronger than us, will attack us, then you can make the same point with many other countries. That means China should be afraid of the United States of America. Actually, everyone on this planet should be afraid of the United States of America, since the United States of America attacked and invaded so many weaker countries. So why is it only Russia? Is unprovoked? No. There's many evidence over there, many arguments that the Russians tried to avoid this, including the, if you remember Mr. Tusk, Minsk agreements, where Poland was also a signatory, a guarantor, together with France and Germany. I listened to Mr. Tusk when he was at the European Union and when Poland has the presidency, and I heard him in a few instances, and he's not very bright. Sorry to say that. That's my personal opinion. You can have the same opinion about me. That's the beauty of free speech, okay? So, don't get so upset. But that's my assessment of this guy. And this little statement that he made here, and the conclusion, therefore, one thing is certain. Remember, if that is the logic, use the same logic, but change the subjects, the names. And you know where you're gonna get? You're gonna get to a dogma, to a religious dogma, which is gonna be, we identify, that's the key word, as good, and we identify as bad, therefore they're bad. So we identify as good, therefore we're good. We identify them as bad and or evil, because to be in the same area of imbecility, and therefore they are evil. But you know what? This method of, I don't want to say thinking or reasoning, because it's not reasoning. This method can be applied only by us because we identify as the only ones. They cannot apply the same thing like we are the good because we identify as good, and they are the evil because we identify them as evil. They have no right of self-identification. Remember, they have no right. Therefore, when you meet someone, I identify as a cocksucker, right? All right. Well, how about that guy saying, no, I identify you as this. No, you can't identify me. Only I can identify me as. What? And anyway, sorry for the language. I know you heart bled for that. Anyway, so this is Donald Tusk, and he brought one flimsy, infantile argument to support his very serious therefore one thing is certain. As I said, imbeciles, you can recognize them with their certainty on issues, especially this kind of sophisticated or, you know, very how should I put it, mega issues. But he knows what he needs to do. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.